All right, everybody, welcome back to Pole Obsession. I'm Felix Kane, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Elizabeth Domazet. We just want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to all our OG listeners and everyone new who's joined us. We've been blown away by the amazing feedback, and we are so happy that you're loving the show. We're loving doing it. We see the messages, we see your shares, your support, and it means so much to us. Yay, thank you so much. Today we have a really exciting episode up ahead. We're joined by a true icon in the pole community. He's a social media star, an incredible pole influencer and performer who somehow manages to make everything look completely effortless. It's Mr. Dan Rosen.
Hi.
What made you decide to start calling out misinformation and tackling big topics in the pole industry?
Um, I'm guessing that kind of relates to maybe Tuesday topic from Polols because that tends to be what people are talking about when they ask me questions like that. So I don't actually do Tuesday topic anymore because it wasn't serving the purpose that it originally served. So there was a period with Polos where it was getting very little engagement. And because Polos relies so much on sponsorship from advertisers, people wanting to do giveaways and stuff, I need the stats to look good. So otherwise, when I show them the stats, they're going to be like, well, that's no good. I'm not going to pay money to advertise to you if no one's looking at your stuff. So I was like, how can I boost the engagement? So I kind of like did some Googling, kind of looked on pages that I kind of aspired to be like. And I was like, okay, I was like, asking questions is quite a good one. I thought maybe we could do like a topic, like a Tuesday topic thing. So then we started Tuesday topics and it started very productive. I will say it did start very productive. We got a lot of, there was barely any arguing. It was majority, it was quite good subjects. But after a certain amount of time doing a Tuesday topic every week, you kind of run out of stuff. So then it kind of became this thing where people were sneakily asking questions to jibe at people. But because I don't know the background on what they're talking about, I had no clue about that. So I would share these topics and people would be like, oh, I know who this is about. Oh, this is about so and so. It's like, funny enough, one of them was like, oh, I'm an Australian pole dancer and my studio's not paying me. And people were like, this better not be Sydney tagging at Sydney Pole. This better not be you, Michelle Shimmy, blah, blah. And people were like they were then having to make like public statements to be like, guys, this isn't us. And then I was like, oh, okay. So then it kind of went down that road. And I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. But the original plan for it was for it to raise our engagement, was just to get our engagement up, to get people talking and engaging. And then we had this real big turn, just in general, online in 2020. Black Lives Matter, lockdowns, arguments. It was fighting. Everyone was arguing. No productive conversations were really happening. And it was around about that time that I kind of realized, I was like, this has pivoted. This is not doing what I liked it to do. And don't get me wrong, I will admit, I went for a bit of a messy era where I enabled it. I did, and I admit it. I enabled the messiness because it's stuff that I could have just not shared. Do you know what I mean? Like me and my assistant, like we both shared them, and like we could have just left them and just shared another one. But the truth is that I think I did it partly because I was like, I agreed maybe with the topic, or also because I knew it would get a lot of engagement. And then I just came to a point where I was like, is the engagement worth the damage it's doing to the page's reputation? And I just thought it's not worth it. So I just stopped. So yeah, so that's the answer to that one.
Do you think that that's hurt the industry? I know a couple of people have said to me, if they see online fighting within the pole industry, doesn't matter who it is, if you're a new student and you want to choose pole or Pilates and you see all this hate and then this fighting with pole, why would anyone go and do pole dancing? So, and I personally feel that, and I know Felix and I have tried to make our platform, this podcast, positive and the good people in pole like you that have been really successful. That's what interests us, and just sharing great stories, because I personally feel we need to turn it around. So people want to come to us and they want to do pole and they want to walk into a happy, nice place where they're going to feel supported. Do you feel that may have hurt the industry?
Oh, for sure. Like I feel there's lots of stuff that I've done in the past that might have hurt the industry. It's that whole thing of like many of the things that I've done, and again, I'm not trying to say this like to give myself a big head, but it's stuff that had never been done before. Like no one had done a Tuesday topic like that before. So I never really knew what the effects of it were going to be. It's like with the whole Susan comedic sort of style content, I never really knew how that was going to be received. And actually, what's so hilarious is at first that was received really, really well. And then post 2020, it was considered offensive. So it's like, you have to change with the times. And so many people say, when you bring Susan back, and I've done some like sketches and stuff where it wasn't Susan. I did like a sketch where it was like, polling in the UK versus polling in Eastern Europe. And I used the wigs and stuff for that. But, I think the thing is that with anything you do, you have a chance that you're going to offend someone. You could literally do anything. This podcast could be offensive to people because, they'd find a reason. They'd be like, oh, it's only highlighting the elite of the industry. It's not highlighting the smaller voices. There'll be something that they want to be angry about. So you've got to take that into mind as well, is that, you can't not do stuff just because you think someone's going to be offended by it. That's just the way of the world. Like you can do anything, So I've always had that in mind. But I don't know. I would like to think that the only people that really saw these sorts of things are pole dancers who have already established themselves as a pole dancer. Whereas someone new, I don't necessarily think would see these sorts of arguments because they're very much within our community. Whereas someone who is new to pole probably wouldn't see that sort of stuff, but maybe they would. And yeah, possibly. I guess you'll never really know what effects it had, but yeah, possibly. And I take full responsibility for it as well. Like, and I don't even like any of the things I've done in the past where I've been like, oh, that was a mistake. Shouldn't have done that. Or, I don't regret doing them in the sense that I learned so much from it. So actually it was very useful for me because whilst it was a shitty time for me or I did something wrong or whatever, I learned so much about myself, and I learned that it doesn't work, or it just does not work for our industry. So then I've moved and I've pivoted to something else. So it's been important for my growth as a pole dancer as well. So it's had two benefits, I guess.
And I think I think would be one of the biggest takeaways is that you can learn and grow from things. And like you said, when it wasn't serving the purpose that you intended it for, and when you sort of did realize that, oh, maybe this is a bit toxic and maybe I don't like it, that you're able to be like, I recognize that and I take responsibility and this is my narrative and I'm going to make it what I want it to be and not put out
Right.
something that doesn't align with my morals.
Yeah,
And I
for
think
sure.
we all have done things or said things where like, oh, I could learn and I could be better than that. So no, none of us are perfect either. So
And
none of
also,
us.
Right.
like you were saying, like you are in so many ways, what do they call a pioneer? I think with the comedic pole, with pole lols, with the skits, with all of the stuff that in Tuesday Topic, all of the stuff that you've done, you were the first to do them. So along with that comes a learning curve, and now you see, there's a lot of people that are sort of following in your wake that are like, oh, yep, I'm going to do that. That worked for him. I'm going to do that. So yeah, you see a lot of like similar content being used.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, maybe with less responsibility though.
Yeah. And it just
Keep following.
like things change, don't they? Like the times change. Like there's things that I said years ago that was really badly received that nowadays is the norm. And I won't go into specifics on it, but like years ago, I had a massive kickoff about a camp that wouldn't allow men. But now, and they were like, no, women only kind of thing. But nowadays, this chat around gender and stuff is such a norm that, inclusivity and stuff. And I just tell people that I was just way ahead of the times. That's all it was. I was just way ahead. That was it. I just knew what was coming. That's what I was praying for. I think as well, like, and I'll be honest, and I say this to everybody, like, when I first came into the industry, I did this whole thing of like being a social justice warrior. I wanted to speak up. I wanted to fight the good fight. I wanted to be the person say stuff. And I think it comes from, and I've talked to my therapist about this a lot. Like, I think it comes from of being a bit ADHD and just saying things without really thinking about it. That's one thing it comes from. But it also comes from years of bullying in school, having people like treat me in a way that I did not want to be treated and just taking it. And I always promised myself that in my adult life, I would never do that. So in my adult life, when people have come for me or said things about me, whatever, I've always reacted to it in a bad way because it's kind of like triggered me. Whereas nowadays, I'm kind of like, it will really take a lot for me to say something because I've just realized it generally isn't worth the effect it has on your mental health, because socials are just intense. You know, when people are angry at you, you know, you got a minimum of 24 hours of online hate, and it's a lot actually. Like even for the strongest of us, and I would say I'm quite strong with it and I can ignore a lot of it, but like it's a lot. And yeah, so now I will only really speak up on subjects that I'm really, really 100% sure that it won't back on me, it won't come back to me, and that it won't, you know, offend too many people. So yeah, I'm really careful now, and I've just realized that, you know, through going through therapy and stuff like that, and just, you know, really finding out where that kind of came from, it kind of made me a bit more comfortable with just not saying anything and just being like, meh, screw you, I'm just going to carry on with me, do me, and not worry about what you're doing. So yeah, so if you are that type of person and you're listening to this and you feel like you always have to speak up on issues that are happening in the industry, go and get therapy, because honey, it's the best fucking thing you will ever do. I'm telling you now, it's the best thing you ever do. So yeah.
Therapy is great. Therapy is the best thing you will ever do, like hands down. I
For
agree.
sure.
You like if you do feel any sort of negativity or any sort of build up of excess bad emotions that you can't handle.
Hmm.
You
And I
even
think
if you
also
don't.
when you're writing stuff like that online, everyone's sharing it. It is being screenshot, it is being shared. Like if you're saying something nasty to somebody else online, that goes around like wildfire and you can never ever get rid of it. So I think you're 100% right. If you feel like doing that, maybe think about it and don't. You know, you're hurting yourself as well as potentially trying to hurt somebody else. So I personally, I don't love it. We're very quiet when
Yeah.
something happens. Like I just go quiet and I'm just like, I'm just going to let you guys do you, and I will not respond to it.
Mm.
So I think all of
Yeah.
us probably felt that, and people coming after us at a certain point. And I get it, you know, more than I would like to get it, and I just try to ignore it because I don't feed into it. I don't want to give them the air.
Do you have a
Yeah. And the
strategy,
problem is, and
Dan, in dealing with
do I have,
trolls and do you have a strategy in dealing with trolls or a negative online? Do you block, delete? Do you ever engage? Like, is there a
I won't necessarily always block. I mean, there are different types of people when it comes to things like this. You've got the people who will write to you and say, Dan, I don't really like that you've done that. I'd love to talk to you about it. And I will engage with these people, like, because I'm happy to be like, oh, you know, but yeah, fuck, maybe I have made a mistake here. But the people who are just going to go online and say mean things or tag me in a story and say, oh, Dan Rosen's done blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I just block that. I don't engage with that because I just know that we're not going to have a productive conversation. And the thing that you always have to remember is that every response that you give is another 24 hours of screenshots on their stories, you know? So if you do reply, you need to be 100% sure that it's not something that is going to be screenshot, shared by everybody, you know, because that's another 24 hours, which, like Elle said, is more the reason why I generally just don't reply. I generally don't reply and I just delete it and I just move on with my life because it's so energy draining, and also I'm so busy. I don't really have the time. I wish I had the time to do like that amount of, do you know what I mean? Like posting about all this stuff, you know, and I do every now and then if it's something I'm really passionate about. But generally I don't get that amount of time. And yeah, so I just feel like the strategy, I guess, is to just ignore it and remember that as soon as you reply to that, it's very unlikely that anything good will come from it.
has
So,
there ever
because
been
if
a
someone
time?
hates you, they're going to hate you either way.
Yeah, I mean, this is true. Has there ever been a time where that sort of trolling, something that started as a negative experience, had turned around into something productive that you could think of?
There was a time, yeah, it's like just because of my sense of humor, I would say like I've managed to turn some of them around to just be like a joke, which I don't know, it's a bad way to word it, but like someone had done like this hashtag, like hashtag, it was like cancel Dan Rosen or something like this hashtag.
Oh,
So I
really?
just got t-shirts with it printed on it. I just thought it was funny. I just thought that's actually brilliant. So I got some t-shirts printed with it on it. And I just started going around with these t-shirts that had like cancel Dan Rosen on it. No, it was like yeah, it was something like cancel Dan Rosen, but it sounded so much better than that. And I thought that's actually got a really funny ring to it. And I just thought, I'm gonna get that printed on a t-shirt, that's actually really hilarious. And people bought it. They thought we all thought it was funny, like it was because it was over something that was so minor. Don't get me wrong, if it was over something that was really a controversial topic, I wouldn't turn it into a joke. But because it was over something silly, I was like, this is actually quite funny. I was like, I'm just going to turn it into a positive. But generally, no positivity comes out of situations like that. So nowadays, I'm just like, just avoid that. Like, I tend to always say to people, if you love that kind of like gossip and stuff, because I do, I'll be honest, like I'm so bad for it. If I see some dramas happening, I'm like, oh, have you seen this, or whatever? And I used to insert myself into that and be like, well, I've got an opinion on that too. But now I just do what normal people do, and I just bitch about it in a group chat with my friends.
It's actually very true. That's what everyone does, isn't it?
Correct.
Just chat to it about your friends. Like, just chat to it about your friends. Like, you don't have to post publicly. You can view
Yeah,
it.
you
You can,
have a safe,
whatever, but you don't
have a
have
safe
to.
zone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Have your safe zone with your friends. It's fine.
Not everybody needs to know the real you.
No, exactly.
That's
Did
something
you
we
have
had mentioned on our little Instagram chat was talking about the character that you present when you're on social media and as a influencer, how we kind of curate our character to whatever platform we're on, and those people that see us really feel like they know the real person, but there is that disconnect between like who you actually really are as a person versus how people receive you or view you as a person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And like we said when we were talking about this on Instagram, I think I have. You know how Beyonce always says that she has like Sasha Fierce is who she is on stage, and then Beyonce is who she is off of stage. I feel like very much like that when it comes. I've got pole dance teacher Dan, and I've got Dan. Now Dan is actually like quite chilled out. Like I'm not a party animal. Like it, so people have seen and they know pole dance teacher Dan because he's taught them at workshops. He's high energy. We make jokes. We have fun. We have a good time. Like we make memes. It's a fun time. And then what happens is they book me for workshops. We do these workshops. We have a great time, and then we go for some food. And they're like, "Oh, like should we go out for drinks and stuff?" And I'm like, oh no, it's 9. I need to be in bed in like 30 minutes. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, they're like, do you don't want any drinks? I'm like, I don't drink. And they're like, what? So like, you don't drink alcohol? I'm like, not really, no. Like every now and then. And they're like, oh, we thought you were going to be like a party animal and stuff. I'm like, absolutely not. No. I'm like, honey, I'm 36. Like I can't keep up with these kids no more. I'm just different in my day-to-day life, like, but the persona that I use is because I want my priority when I'm teacher Dan is to make sure that other people have the best experience and a fun time. So when they leave my classes, they're going to be buzzing because we've had fun, we've had a laugh, like, and online again I've made them laugh, we had a great time. But actually Dan, when he's done with that, needs time to recharge because I'm so exhausted from that persona that I need to kind of just have some alone time and like some quiet time. Don't get me wrong, like I do like a bit of a party every now and then too. But no, I'm not every weekend like partying or whatever. Oh my God, like once a year maybe. Like,
If
yeah,
that, if that. Um,
yeah.
you do have a really elegant way of I feel like navigating through some tough topics with grace, and respect, but also with levity. I think that's what you do very, very well, is that you can convey different sides and different opinions, but you can also bring a little bit of levity to it and a little bit of not lightheartedness, because I don't want to say that you're making fun of anything, but I feel like you make things approachable with how you are able to make it communicative and engaging. So yeah, well done. That wasn't a question.
Yeah. I think it's important though that we do that. It's just poll. Like, do and sometimes we're like, this is just poll. Like, and I hate this, like, when you keep saying about like, oh, as an influencer. See, I don't like this whole mentality of like the poll celebrity, the poll influencer. I don't like that because we have large followings because the people who are following us because they want to save our stuff and they want to recreate it. Let's just be real about that, okay? Especially so male pole dancers, like a lot of the people that follow us are pole dancers, because straight men aren't following me. Women who don't pole dance aren't following a random pole dancer. So it's mainly female pole dancers that follow me, and it's that whole thing of like, I am not a celebrity. I just have a lot of pole dancers following me. So I'm not going to act around anybody like I'm above you, because I'm just absolutely not. Like, we're literally just pole dancers. So when I hear about like diva behavior from like people in our industry that are doing what I do, I find it quite frustrating because it actually paints a bad picture for all of us. And, I know that there's people who, when they've messaged me about workshops and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, okay, like, I'd love to come to you. I'm like, they're like, can you send me your terms and conditions? We're not sure if we can like afford your flights and stuff. I'm like, oh, I pay for my flights. Like, you just have to pay for this. They're like, oh, like, we don't have to pay for your flights. I'm like, well, how are you going to make any money? And they're like, wow. And do you know why I think I have that mentality? Is because I've owned a studio. So whereas a lot of traveling pole dancers maybe don't. So they don't actually understand, why would the studio make any money? This is my workshops. It's like, well, they've got to have a benefit too, because why the fuck would they book you otherwise? They may as well just book in-house workshops with them, or, another teacher who's local, who's a lot cheaper maybe. So I've always wanted to have both sides and be really realistic about the fact that this is just pole. I'm not a celebrity. I can't charge millions for an appearance, but I feel like, though, actually, Felix, I hope you don't mind me telling you this, because I do use you as an example. Back in the day, though, it was like that. And I'm not saying that was your fault. It wasn't. But back in the day, we used to do meet and greets. Like, I did a meet and greet with Felix. I've got a picture of me in a Superman. Felix is in a Superman above me. She was sliding down. So my thumb is literally in her vagina. She's looking at me like, what the fuck? This was from a meet and greet. We paid to go to this meet and greet. And back in the day, that was so normal. But now, that's not normal. And like, sometimes people are like, do you have photos so that you can give everyone like signed photos? I'm like, no, like, let's just get a photo together maybe. But I'm like, this isn't like an autograph. I'm not like a celebrity. I don't like that. I want people to feel like they can come up to me or message me on Instagram and be like, hey, Dan, you taught me this move. I'm really struggling with it. Can you help me? Yeah, sure, I will. Right? I don't know. But I know not everyone agrees with that. I know a lot of pole celebrities maybe are like, no, like, we're not accessible like that, but I am. So, and I always want to be. I don't like that. I just don't think it's nice. And I don't think it's how our industry should be now. I think because we're so much bigger, it should be different. It should be a lot more personal and nicer.
No, I agree with you. And also, I feel like, yeah, absolutely, your teachers should be accessible. But I think when you have been in industry for a long time, you realize that that moment where you're the big thing is very fleeting. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you might get 5 seconds of fame, but that's all it's going to be. If you do want to
absolutely.
be in the industry for a long time, then you need to create relationships with people, not just like expect that people will come to you forever.
Definitely. Yeah,
Gosh, we're so wise, aren't we?
I know.
So I want to dive into the judging.
No, I want to talk about the judging stuff as well.
Okay, yeah, because I find that really interesting. Like Dan was saying, that competitions and judging and all that sort of stuff has died down there. It's still huge in Australia. Like, and people it's huge here, and people are becoming famous polers here from winning competitions. It's well, and it is thriving, and there's a new competition opening every weekend here. So yeah, I'd love to know about the competitions there and the judging there.
It's again, I feel like I put Australia on like a pedestal, like in the sense that I'm always like comparing stat because for me, when I obviously first started pole dancing, the scene, what we were basing our scene off of was always off Australia because there was much more of an established scene in Australia before we had a scene here. So a lot of the polers, you know, that we were sort of learning from, you know, like when Felix was traveling over to us, was from Australia. It was like the Australian, like then Cleo started coming over. Do you know what I mean? So it was that kind of, it was always based off of like Australia. And in the UK, the competition scene is so completely different. Like we always find it fascinating that, you know, some of your competitions have like these prize pots of like loads of like dollars. And we're like, wow, like how do they even afford to do that? Because like some of the competitions here, they barely make enough money to even run, like let alone give prizes of money. Like, and you guys as well, like posting about tickets and then boom, they're just like sold out. Like these theaters are filled. Like some of the theaters here, they don't even get half full for competitions. Now, I have a theory about why that is. So, like Miss Pole Dance Australia, for example, I always notice there's rammed in there. Like it's such a big event there, and everyone tries to turn up for it and show up for it. And I think the reason is because the Australian competitions and the Australian polers are very much about the show and about putting on a show. In the UK, it's not like that. We have pole theatre, and yes, people will tell a story, but people don't go all out like they do in Australia. Like, I feel like when I'm watching, like, you know, the Australian pole competitions, I feel like the polers just go so much further out with their costume, their staging. They've got fucking background dancers. I'm like, there's five bitches dancing behind them. I'm like, where the hell did they get those girls from? And I remember one of my friends, Jacob, did Felix's competition when she did the Felix Kane Championships, and he came second actually. And he was telling me about like, you know, they send over like a menu of like dancers that you can get in contact with for backup dancers, and they've got like places you can get. We don't have that. We don't have that. Like that's not a thing here. That is not a thing here. And it was like, wow. I was like, they are so much further ahead than us. And actually, it's because of that, and because we don't have this showmanship that the Australians do, people don't want to watch because it's boring as fuck. And I'll be honest, like I go to competitions sometimes because I'm like, right, this will probably be the best competition to go and watch. But even still, I get bored. And you know what's so funny actually is that I went to a competition not so long ago, and you know, there was some people competing. It was a really long day, and Mitch was messaging me like, "Oh, what time are you going to be home and stuff?" So I was like messaging him on my phone, and people were like kicking off saying, "Oh, Dan Rose was at his competition. He was on his phone the whole time. He didn't give a fuck about anyone except people he knew." And this was like one of my like cancelled moments where people were like all posting like, "Oh, Dan was at a competition. He didn't care about anyone's performances." I'm like, it's not that. It's just it's such a long day. There's so many people competing, and to be honest, like I don't know sometimes how the judges actually do it because so many of them just look exactly the same. I'm like, what is differentiating you from everyone else? And like, yeah, and that's actually it's one of the reasons why I stopped competing why I stopped judging was because it it became impossible to do. I literally, you know, nowadays we've got this like this whole thing, and again, I don't know what it's like in Australia, where if someone gets bad feedback, oh, they're straight on Instagram about it. They're posting their feedback on Instagram. They're like, oh, look what this judge said. This judge said they didn't like my music. And I'm like, and then people are like, oh, you shouldn't be saying you don't like someone's music. And then you've got people like me who are like, I understand what you're saying in the sense that, you know, we can't judge you based off of your song. But at the same time, if you've ever been like in any situation and there is music in the background that you don't like, you cannot help but have that affect your experience. That's the truth. Like, so, you know, so is it going to affect my score? Probably, because I can't fucking stand this song. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if I hear Roxanne one more time, I'm going to stab myself in the fucking eye. I swear to God, like, I just, do you know what I mean? I just can't. I just can't do it. I can't. I'm sorry. And I know that people just, you know, they want to put on that performance, and Roxanne is such a good performance song. But I'm like, it's been so done. Just like,
It's
find something else,
done.
please.
So
Please.
done. So done.
We
I'm
need to
so
we need
done.
to write a banished playlist.
Can we add toxic to
Yes.
it, Britney Spears? Because
Yes.
that's
Talked.
out for crying
Yes.
out loud. No more. And then radioactive. That
Oh,
has to be.
Radioactive. Pour some sugar on me.
Oh,
yeah.
What else? Visible
So many.
responses is what we're getting here.
Oh, river. Like a river.
Like a
Oh,
river.
honestly.
no more. No more rivers.
No more river.
And no more rivers, please. Just fucking drown that song in the river, please. But like, when and this is the thing, and I get what people are saying, like, and I understand when these posts are made, I don't ever engage with it because I understand what they're saying. Like, I understand that, they shouldn't be judged on their song choice. It shouldn't have an effect on your score, but and they might not write it in their score, but just our brains are wired that way. Like, if we are listening to a song in the background, like if I had music on in the background now that was stop music that I hate, like that screaming type rock music, I'd be hating this experience because I've got that in my ear and it's just like ruining my experience. So whilst our chat might be amazing, it would be tainted by the fact that music was affecting my experience. So it's like, and people don't understand that. And but another reason I actually stopped was because I had a bad experience. Well, not a bad experience, just an awkward experience where I was judging online during COVID, and a South African girl a white girl was competing, and she was dressed in like what I would have considered. I mean, I don't know much about African culture, but like an African beaded style outfit. And this was in the height of Black Lives Matter. And I refused to judge it because I was like, listen, I just said to the organizer, I said, I'm so sorry. I said, I don't want to be awkward here. I said, but if that video goes out and people get hold of it and they say that is racially inappropriate, which I felt it was, because I don't really know much about the culture, so I don't know how it works. I know that people will come for me, and I want to be able to say, just to let you know, I didn't judge that. So that's why I said to her, I was like, I'm just not going to judge it because I don't want to take this risk. And then I remember at the end of the comp just thinking, fuck me, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I just can't. I'm treading on eggshells here. Like, I have to be so careful about what I write in the feedback. Are they going to screenshot this? Are they going to share it? Is the the routine inappropriate? Look at that Italian competition where that girl did Whoopi Goldberg and painted her face black. Do you know what I mean? Like, the judges who judged that got so much shit, as they should, and as the organizer should. Why the hell they would even see her at the side of the stage and be like, yeah, go on. Do you know what I mean? And was it in Australia that girl did the nun with the coat hanger? Was that in Australia that a girl did that? It was.
I know
she was like a nun that got pregnant, and she was like, she basically insinuated she was going to use a coat hanger to,
maybe not
to rid.
I don't think that. Well, I could be wrong, but I know most.
Maybe it wasn't Australia then.
No,
it was pole theatre. I know it was pole theatre, but I just couldn't remember which one. But this is what I mean, like,
Googles.
Yeah. Oh, you won't find it anyway, because I think Michelle Shimmy, obviously Michelle, and she's shit hot and stuff like that. So I think she got it all taken down. But
she's
like I just
pretty good at like stopping it before it happens, type thing.
I do too. I stop it before it happens. So if somebody sends me a theme that's inappropriate, and it's very rare, let me say, but if somebody sends me a theme that's inappropriate, I don't approve it. I'll just say sorry. Yeah. So I'm like,
absolutely. And as well, like, sometimes you don't know until they get to the show, because like that girl like said that she was doing, she was doing, what's that movie where Whoopi Goldberg is a nun? What's that called again?
Sister Act.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Sister
about.
Act. So they were doing Sister Act. So if someone sends you, oh, we're doing a Sister Act routine, you don't think, oh, that's not going to be appropriate. You just think that's going to be fine, don't you? And then some girl works on stage and she's painted herself black because she wanted to be Whoopi, and didn't realize the issue behind that. It's very difficult. But then it's like, you could have stopped it. You could have stopped the performance and be like, hey, listen, we can't support that. Or seen them at the start of the stage and be like, listen, if you want to go on, you're going to have to go and take the makeup off, and then we'll let you go on. So, yeah. And I just, like, and, in the UK as well, like, we've had a competition recently, not long ago, where a pole fell down for example, a poll fell down and everyone was kicking off about it. People were kicking off about the judges, like, why didn't they say anything about the rigging not being safe enough or whatever? And I just thought, do you know what? There's so much pressure on judges now that I've been cancelled enough. I'm done. I can't take any more. I'm just like, I've had my I feel like I'm trying to go for like a full year of not being cancelled. And, we're in March. I'm doing really well. And I really want to keep that up. And I'm just like, it's not worth the risk. It's not worth it for me. So yeah, I'm just like, no more.
No more cancels.
Thank you for listening to part 2 of our chat with Dan Rosen. We will continue next week with part 3, which will be our final part to this series. If you'd like to follow Dan, you can find him on Instagram at Dan Rosen Poll. If you'd like to follow Felix, you can find her on Instagram at The Real Felix Kane. And if you'd like to follow Elizabeth, you can follow her at Ariel Poll on Instagram. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you soon.